Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk about spirituality and how important we are or not are in the big picture. But first let me tell you about Atta. Many years ago I was sitting with my friend Lily and another friend doing a channeling. And that means we were meditating together and I fell into deep trance and I was channeling this entity who called himself Atta. And to the end of the channeling, our visitor asked Atta a question which really changed my way of seeing things ever since. It was a very important question for me. He asked, "How are you, Atta, related to Celia?" Me as a channel. And Atta answered something like this: "I'm much bigger than her. Imagine if you were talking to your liver to get to know yourself better. Well, I found a cell in my body called Celia. And she might think that I'm God because I have an overview that she has not. But we are still part of the same organization." And I really loved that because it was like microcosmos and the big, the small in the big and the big in the small and everything together. So it really impacted me a lot. Maybe one day I'll find this channeling and share the entire thing with you. I don't know where it is at the moment. But generally, we are moving from the idea of everything being particles, matter, to the fact that everything is energy. And energy can become matter and matter can dissolve back into waves or energy. And this actually means that we cannot be separated from all what is around us. We are simply a vital part of it. I like that. Whether we think about it or conscious about it or not, we are part of unity. So by experiencing the illusion of separation, that is excellent for our ego or our personality to grow and learn and expand. We each walk our own path and we have our personal challenges, our personal emotions, but sometimes we falsely take that to believe that we are on our own. We are walking this path by ourselves alone. But as consciousness arises in us, we also realize we are part of the rest of this universe and nothing in nature, anywhere in nature, is functioning by itself alone. So even if you see yourself as a singular unity of consciousness, you are simply a cell in an organization. So each cell has its own life, yes, but it has no meaning without the interaction with everything around it. You don't either. So imagine your liver organ. I read somewhere that it consists of 240 billion cells, the liver, and each cell has its own metabolism and its own work to do. And imagine that one cell would experience itself as being separated from oneness, from this organization that is working in. Seeing from outside, we would realize immediately that that's an illusion. And if the liver would start thinking that it's more important than the other vital organs in our body, well, from the outside, we'd immediately realize that that's an illusion too, because the liver has no purpose by itself and it belongs to us as an organization, as the body, as a unity. So we are interconnecting with everything else around us and we consist of energy like everything else. And I know that you know that already and I know that already, but have you thought about what it really means? Because for me it was a realization when I understood that it means that nothing is, everything is not about me. Everything is not about you. So we're not as important as we seem to think we are from our own perspective in one way. I find that really insight or a relief to know that I'm only a cell in the universal body. And it's about what we're come here to create together. So you being you, me being me, different cells of vibration living in the same organization, we are fulfilling our purpose. So by seeing and understanding things from unique perspectives, we also add to the collective consciousness in a way. So I know we talk a lot about, in spiritual teaching, we talk a lot about witnessing our awareness, witnessing our thoughts, and noticing that we are behind our thoughts, we're not our thoughts. And that is a very valid and important way to work spirituality. But right now we have a little different focus, because I'm not in this moment, when I'm working with law of spirituality, I'm not really so interested in understanding spirit or the behind or my soul as I am to understand my purpose as Celia. So why I'm here, what I do in this collaboration or practice. So that's why the focus here is slightly different. I'm not saying the other focus is wrong, I'm just saying right now we have a focus on the law of spirituality, which is the law of wholeness, which is separating nothing, or the separated part becomes a whole. So for the law of spirituality to work, reality is here and now, and me, Celia, and you are experiencing this world through your senses. That's the tools we have to experience ourselves in this world. Not our minds alone. So experience oneness is totally different from understanding our mind. I'm here to experience oneness and separation as well as Celia, a small cell in this huge organization. And I'm witnessing the presence of thoughts, sure, but I'm not my thoughts alone. That's important for me. I am me through the process of hearing beautiful music, smelling delicious coffee in the morning, or tasting delicious food or bad food, whatever I'm smelling, by touching, by seeing, by tasting, by hearing, and also let's add intuition, because maybe there is another sense where we are sensing things without really those 5 physical senses. But all these sensory inputs are being processed into thoughts and emotions, but they come first, and that's important for my understanding of the law of spirituality, the law of oneness. So when believing that the thoughts or words alone, when we believe that they are the only important input we have, then we lose the primal source of information, which come through our senses. And when we do that, it seems that we lose ourselves, our self, and the self being your personality, my personality. The reason this form, I've chosen this form this time, in this life I have this form. So this self is important because this is how I express myself. The soul expresses itself right here, right now, through me, in me, with me. So I don't want to lose that part, that little part, which is me, Celia, a small cell working really hard for the survival of all. And I find it to be an interesting manifestation of my soul on earth. So this is why, together with awareness and new awareness, we also need an expanding willingness to interact with nature, nature being everything around us, as in the wilderness, sure, but also our natural self. And how we do that, from my perspective, that's through sensing. So sensing the reality around us more than just thinking about it. Now, the thing is, because we belong to this huge organization, we share energy with neighboring cells. We give and we take, we interact, and we support each other by interacting. So sometimes you feel lonely because it's hard to interact with people around you. I don't know about you right now, but if you feel that it's hard to interact with people today, then there are lots of other options. You can interact with so many other cells of this unity. You can nature is so full, it has all this potential. You can interact a place where you feel safe, where it resonates with you, in a situation where love grows in you, and your ego is less afraid of failure. And the reason why I'm talking about failure or fear is because when we feel fear, it's very hard to relax. And to experience oneness or the law of spirituality, it's essential to relax the ego. And by that, I mean our self, this Celia part of me, the ego part of me, the personality part of me, must relax a bit, because we access oneness when we're relaxing our egos. And that means when we're not thinking about ourselves, when we're thinking of other things, then our ego can relax. When we're thinking of how we do it, how people see us, what we are doing, is it right, is it wrong, are we important, are we not important, then when we're considering too much in our personality, about our personality, then it's very hard for the personality to relax, and that's why we keep the distance from ourselves to oneness around us. And experiencing oneness is really important for how we treat each other and how we treat everything around us. So it's essential for our survival to feel connected. And interacting and interconnecting we can do in so many different ways. And maybe you interconnect with a dog when you're grooming your dog or training, or maybe you are walking outside looking at the stars, or just simply breathing outdoors, interacting oxygen with CO2 in a natural way of breathing. I mean, we do interact all the time. And so to feel safe, to let your ego relax a little, it's good to find safe places to interact, to consciously bring interaction into one of your tools of allowing your ego to relax a little bit. For me, it can be chatting on the internet, it can be singing, it can be visiting someone I love, or as you all know, I love to meditate, and that is also a way of interacting for me with the rest of my higher frequencies, the rest of the universe, everything around me that pulses and vibrates, and everything which is energy. So there are many, many ways to do that. But connecting is also another important thing that I really wanted to talk about. And that is that when you're connected to the law of spirituality, or when you're using the law of spirituality, you are connected to oneness. And that feels light. That feels like giving up, like giving it up to the universe or whatever you believe in. So in a healthy sense, let's say you can't take responsibility for the entire world on your shoulders. Give it up. You can't even take responsibility for the other members of your family. Give it up. You have to take responsibility for that little part, that little cell, that little work which is yours, sure, but you can't bring all of it onto your shoulders. And the heaviness that we may feel when we're thinking about the world these days is not interconnectedness, it is separation. That's why it gets heavy, because in oneness you can do your little task, as important or not as it is, but the task of being you, which with ease. You can do it with ease. Because the law of spirituality is lifting us. It's making things easier. Interconnecting means that we're not carrying individual heavy burdens. We are carrying it all together, doing it one cell at a time together. So that's why I also want to remind you of not only consuming other people's thoughts, but because every cell has its purpose, and it means that it has to interact to fulfill its purpose. So give and take, create, consume, because the world around you needs you, and your angle is valid and important for the collective consciousness. So your breath, your physical senses touching the world in a way, that is your work, one cell at a time. And this is the law of spirituality. This is the law of oneness. And I'm so happy that you are here and that we are meeting in this way, because interconnectedness means a lot to me. And if you leave a comment, then you're actually actively interconnecting with me and interacting with me, and I would love that. So subscribe to my channel, and then we can share some more love.